Thanks for everyone being here today. It's a bit chilly, so we might try and do a fair bit of movement if we can. So let's bring our hands to heart center and have your feet comfortably apart. And I invite you to close your eyes. And today's yoga practice, I want you to envision radiance. So the more that you know who you are yourself, be sure of who you are and what you are, the more you're going to radiate out and then radiate all the good energy out. So as you go through your yoga practice today, think about your aura and think about shining your own light and have some amazing radiant energy. So let's begin with an inhale, and we'll lift our arms up above our head, stretching up, and then exhale to the side. And inhale back to the middle, exhale to the other side. Let's do a couple more of those. And then coming back to center and bringing your hands to cactus position. And we're going to turn to the right, keeping our hips facing forward. Just a little twist in our spine. Inhale to center and exhale to the left. Just gently warming up our spine. And then back to center and reaching up nice and tall, and exhaling, folding forward. Bringing your hands down towards your toes. And then inhale, come back up again. Reaching up, taking your feet a little wider. And exhale, you can slide your hands down your legs to support your lower back. And bring your fingertips down to the floor. Let's do 2 more rounds. So inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, slide your hands down your legs to wide-legged forward bend. And last one, inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. And from here, come down to the mat, come into tabletop position. Opening up through the hands and pressing your palms into the mat. Let's do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. So we'll inhale, lift up our chest and raise our gaze. And exhale, nod your chin into your chest, lifting up the spine. And then inhale back up again. Let's do a couple of rounds with your own breath, initiating the movement. And one more round. And from here, we're going to do thread the needle. So we'll move our right hand towards the middle of the mat. Inhale, lift up the left hand and looking up towards the left thumb. And then exhale, thread the left hand under the right. Take the right hand forward and bring the left shoulder and ear down towards the mat. And feel the stretch through the left scapula. Take a few breaths here. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop. This time, slide the left hand towards the middle of the mat. Inhale, lift up the right hand, open up through the chest, looking up to the right thumb. And then exhale, thread the right hand under the left. Slide the left hand forward and bring your right ear and shoulder down towards the mat. And noticing the stretch through the right scapula. Take a couple of nice deep breaths here. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop. Take your knees a little wider, and as you exhale, bring your buttocks down to your heels and slide your hands forward, bringing your forehead down to the mat into child's pose. And take a couple of breaths here. And come back to the theme of your practice today, which is radiance, shining your light. Let's take a couple more breaths. And then bringing the body forward into an upward dog. And exhale as you come back towards a child's pose. And then as you inhale, come back to the upward dog. So stretching the front of the hips and stretching through the lower back and shoulders as you go into child's pose. Let's go for a couple more rounds. And if you have socks on, now might be the time to take them off so you don't slip. And we're going to tuck our toes under and lift our hips up into downward dog. And just paddling our heels down towards the mat, feeling the stretch through the back of the legs into downward dog. Take a couple of breaths. Just notice the stretch. And then coming back to tabletop. And we'll do some more hip opening. We'll do the lizard pose next. So we're going to take our left foot and place it on the outside of the left hand. And then slide the right knee back a little bit and allow the hip to go forward. So you've got a nice stretch through the right hip. Just take a couple of breaths here. You can keep your hands on the mat, or you can inhale and bring the left hand up and go into a twisted lizard. And then exhale, bring the hand back down and bring the left knee back next to the right. And then take the right foot next to the right hand. Slide the left knee back a little bit. Allow the hip to go forward. So you're feeling a nice stretch through the left hip flexor. Take a couple of breaths here. It's connecting with that nice stretch through the left hip. And if you want, you can lift up your right hand into a twisted lizard, opening up through the chest, just giving a little bit more stretch through the hip. One more breath, and then bring the right hand down and bring both knees back. Let's take it into child's pose. Just taking a couple of breaths here, feeling nice stretch through the hips again. And then we're going to go through a little flow where we're going to go back up to tabletop, tuck your toes under, lifting your hips up into downward dog, and then slide your hands forward a little bit and bring the hips forward into upward dog. So when you go to upward dog, you can have your knees on the mat to protect your lower back and things, or you can take your knees off the mat so it's a little bit more intense. It's your choice. And then exhale back into downward dog. Let's go through a couple of those flows. Just noticing where you're feeling it. So as you come into downward dog, you exhale. And as you bring your body forward into upward dog, inhaling. Let's go one more flow. And then from here in tabletop, we're going to go into a pigeon pose. So we're going to take our left knee forward, lift up our right knee and bring the left foot to the right side of the mat and slide our body back a little bit. So you're feeling a really nice stretch through the left glutes and the left ITB. That's it. So that's it. I'll just show you from the other side. I'll just show you that one again, Elsa. So we're starting off in tabletop. You bring your left knee forward, lift up the right knee, and take the left foot to the right side of the mat, lifting up your hip, lifting up your chest and sliding your hip back a little bit. So you've got a nice stretch there through. This is called pigeon pose. It's really good for glutes and lower back. Take a couple more breaths and then come back to tabletop. And we'll take it to the other side. So this time we're going to take the right knee forward and then take the right foot to the left side of the mat and then slide the left leg back a little bit. So you're getting a nice stretch through the right glute and the right ITB, keeping your chest up nice and tall. And take a few deep breaths here. One more breath. And then back to tabletop. And we'll come up to standing. Okay, let's come to the back of the mat and we'll work our way through the warrior sequence. So we're starting off with our left toes pointing slightly out, step forward with the right. Inhale, lift up the chest and lift up your arms. Raise your gaze and imagine you're holding a beach ball above your head. So getting a nice stretch through the left hip. Let's take a couple of breaths. And then taking the right hand forward, left hand back, squeezing the shoulder blades, lengthening out through the fingertips and nice and strong through the right leg. One more breath. And then take the right hand back behind you, lengthening out the right leg. Clasp your hands behind your back and lift through the chest and lift the hands off the lower back. So you're into humble warrior, feeling a nice stretch through the right hamstring and through the shoulders. One more breath. And then we're going to take our right hand down to the mat next to our right foot. If you have a block, you can place your right hand on the block. And then inhale, lift up the left hand and look up towards the left thumb into triangle pose. And notice the stretch through the chest and through the right hamstring. One more breath. And then exhale, bring the left hand down and slowly coming up to standing and step back to the back of the mat. And we'll take it to the other side. So right toes are slightly pointed out and step forward with your left foot. As you inhale, raise your gaze, raise your arms above your head and a nice bend through the left knee. Left knees on top of the left ankle. Reaching up nice and tall, lifting that beach ball up, taking a few breaths and connecting with the stretch through the right hip. One more breath. Taking the left hand forward, right hand back, lengthening through the fingers, nice and strong through the left leg and squeezing the shoulder blades. This is warrior two. One more breath here, kind of keep it nice and steady. And then take the left hand behind your back, lengthening out the left leg, clasping the hands behind your back, lifting up through the chest and lifting up through the hands. Humble warrior. And connecting with the stretch through the left hamstring and through the shoulders. One more breath. And then release your hands down to the mat. This time place your left hand inside your left foot. If you have a block, place it on the block. And then inhale, lift up the right hand, looking up towards the right thumb and feeling that stretch through the left hamstring and through the chest. Gazing towards the right thumb. Taking a couple of breaths. And then on the next exhale, bring the right hand down to the mat and slowly come up to standing. Nice work. Give your body a little shake. Let's do some balancing work next. We'll keep going with our theme around the pigeon pose. So we're going to open up the right toes and connect with the anchor points under your right foot as you just move your hips around in a little circle. Bring the left toes next to the right foot and then bring the left leg in front of the right leg and have a nice small bend in the right knee and tilt your chest a little forward and hands to heart center. So you feel the stretch through the left glute, but also it's a balancing pose. So It's a version of tree pose. Finding a drishti point to help you with your balance. Just take a few breaths here. Noticing all the little stabilizers in your right ankle coming into play. 2 more breaths. And then release. Come back up to standing. Give your leg a shake. Give your hands a shake. And let's go to the other side. So opening up the left toes and coming into contact with the anchor points under the left foot. And let's bring the right toes next to the left ankle. And then bring the right leg across in front of the left leg. Slight bend in the left knee. Find your drishti point and slightly forward with the chest. Feeling a nice stretch through the right glute. And let's come into a nice stable position here in tree pose. Let's take a few more breaths. 1 more. Nice work. And then come to standing, give a little shake. Well done. Because it's so cold, let's do a few salutes to the sun to warm our body up and to pray for a bit more sunshine. So we'll come to the top of the mat, bring your toes to the top of the mat and your feet fairly close together. And we're going to inhale. We're going to lift our arms up into mountain pose, stretching, and then exhale, folding forward into forward bend, and then step back into plank, slowly lowering your body down to the mat. Inhale as you raise your chest into upward dog, and exhale, rolling over your toes into downward dog. As you step forward into forward bend, inhale, lifting your chest, and exhale, hug your chest to your legs. And then inhale, come all the way back up to mountain pose and hands back to heart center. Nice work. So that's 1 round. Let's do 2 more rounds. So we're going to inhale, lift our arms, lift our gaze, exhaling, folding forward, and step back into plank. Slowly lowering our body down to the mat. Inhale through the chest, and exhale, roll over the toes into downward dog. And then stepping forward to forward bend. Inhale, lift the chest, stretching the back, and exhale, hug the knees to the chest. And then inhale, come all the way back to mountain pose, hands back to heart center. Let's take a couple of breaths here just to get our breathing normal again. They're quite energetic. Let's take 2 more breaths. And let's inhale, last round, lifting up our arms, raising our gaze. Exhale, fold forward and step back into plank. Slowly lower your body down to the mat. Inhale, chest into upward dog. Exhale, roll over the toes, coming into downward dog. Stepping forward into forward bend. Inhale, lift your chest, stretching your back. Exhale, hug your knees to your chest. And then inhale, slight bend of the knees, coming up to mountain pose and hands back to heart center. Nice work. Okay, well done, everyone. Let's come down to the mat. We'll do a forward fold first. Let's start with a wide-legged forward butt fold. Sorry, Elsa, that's it. We're going to take our leg stance nice and wide. Inhale, lift up our arms. And exhale, fold forward. Bring our hands down towards the mat. Heel toe your feet a little wider if you can. So the weight of your body is on the outside edge of your feet. The crown of your head is pointing to the mat. And we're going to just take about 4 breaths here And notice a stretch through the hamstrings and through the lower back. And this is a really great one for your immunity and your circulatory system and your lymphatic system. It's an inversion. Let's take a couple more breaths. Just allow your body to hang upside down and relax. And then walking our hands forward, lifting our chest, stretching the back, and coming down onto the mat. Let's have our legs out in front of us. Lifting up, so you're up on the sit bones. Inhale, lift our arms up, flexing our feet, and exhale, fold forward. Bring your fingertips down towards your toes or your ankles or your shins. And just gaze towards your big toes and take a few breaths here. And notice the stretch through the hamstring and the lower back. One more breath. And release your hands. Folding the left knee. And bring the left heel up towards the ground of the right inner thigh. Lifting up again, up onto your sit bones. Flexing the right foot. Inhale, lift your arms up and exhale, fold forward. So you might find this one here, you can reach really well, or you might find it's a little bit stiffer. So you might be holding on to your toes or your ankle or your shins, gazing down towards your right big toe. Hopefully your knees fairly close to the ground. If your knees up high, you might want to put your block under it. So take a couple more breaths. And then release. Change to the other side. So bring the right heel towards the left inner thigh. Lift up again on your sit bones. We're going to reach up nice and tall and exhale, fold forward. And just notice how this side feels compared to the other. We always have one side's a little tighter. So relaxing that right knee down to the mat, or if you have a block, you can place a block under it to give you a bit more support. Take a couple more breaths, gazing towards the left big toe. And then release and bring the right foot forward. Legs a little shake. Come up to sit bones again. Lift our arms up, flexing our feet, and exhale, take the hands forward. So hopefully this time you find that you've got a little bit more stretch. Let's take 4 deep breaths here and come back to the theme of your practice, which was about radiance, radiating our light out for everybody to see. And then release your feet a little flex. And from here, we're going to do a little twist. So we're going to pick up our left leg and bring the left foot on the outside of the right leg. Place the right hand on the left knee and the left hand behind you. And we're going to exhale as we twist our body, looking over the left shoulder and drawing the knee towards the right side. Lifting up through the spine. Imagine you've got a rope going up through your spine, through the crown of your head. So you're lifting it up nice and tall. And then exhale, release, and take it to the other side. So bending the right knee, bring the right foot to the outside of the mat. Left hand on the right knee, right hand behind you. And then twisting the body, looking over the right shoulder as you draw the knee to the left side of your body. Lifting up through the spine and taking a few deep breaths here. And then release, coming back to center. Yep, legs a little shake. Let's come on to our back. So I've just been doing all those forward bends. So we're going to do a backward bend now. Hug your knees up to your chest and rinse out your back after the twists and the bends, and then bring the heels of your feet down onto the mat close to your buttocks. Press the palms of your hands into the mat. And as you inhale, lift up through the hips. Nod your chin into your chest, squeezing through the buttocks, pushing through the heels into a bridge pose. From here, you can bring your hands underneath the back and clasp them together and walk your shoulders a bit closer. Let's take about 4 breaths here. Just nice, big breaths. Pressing through the heels, squeezing the shoulders. And then release your hands, slowly lowering the spine down to the mat and hug your shoulders to your chest. Roll it in a little circle, releasing any tension you might have in the lower back. And then reaching between your legs inside of the knees to grab the outside edge of your feet. Your knees are going to be bent here, and then lift the soles of your feet up so they point up towards the sky or the ceiling, flattening out your back into happy baby. So here you might stay still, or you might want to rock a little bit from side to side. It's a really nice stretch as well. Just taking a few breaths. And one more breath. And then release your feet from your hands. Bring your feet back down to the mat. Bring your hands so they're straight out from your shoulders. And we're going to exhale and roll our knees to our left and gaze towards the right, trying to keep our shoulders on the mat. So we've got a nice twist through the right side of the body. And then inhale, bring the knees back to center and roll the knees to the right as you exhale, gaze towards the left. And just relax into a nice deep breath. And then inhale, bring your knees to center. This time we're going to lift up our left foot and cross our left shin across the front of the right thigh, and then hug the knees up to the chest into reverse pigeon, and reaching through, either grabbing hold of the left shin or reaching through the gap in the legs to the right shin or the right thigh, depending on how flexible you are. It's rolling out a little bit from side to side, connecting with the stretch through the left glute. And let's relax the shoulders down into the mat. Take a couple of breaths here. I invite you to close your eyes and just notice how your body's feeling. One more breath. And then release your hands, bring the right foot down to the mat and change to the other side. So left foot stays on the mat, right leg crosses in front of the left, and then lifting up the feet and hugging the knees towards the chest. And you might be holding on to the left shin or the left thigh or the right shin. Allow your shoulders to come back down to the mat. I invite you to close your eyes and just notice where you're feeling the stretch. One more breath. And then release your hands, release your feet down to the mat. And then hug both knees to the chest. Rinse out your back. And then bringing your feet back down to the mat. And the next thing we're going to do is our legs up position. So you might want to be near a wall or near some furniture, whatever you want to do, or come into a shoulder stand. So as you inhale, let's lift up through the feet. If you're coming into shoulder stand, using your hands to support your hips and bring your elbows a little close together. Let's all circle our ankles in one direction and then the other. Taking your feet out wide. and then bring your feet together, knees out wide. And then hands, legs up in the air again. And then if you're in the shoulder stand, bring the feet over your head towards a plow pose, releasing your hands down to the mat. Everybody else, legs straight up. And then on the next inhalation, slowly lowering your spine down into the mat and come into a comfortable position for Savasana. So you might have a blanket and some socks that you can put on. Make sure you're going to be warm enough. And then relaxing into a comfortable Savasana position. So you've been doing quite an energetic practice today, lots of hip opening, lots of movement to try and stay warm. So we won't be here for too long, but just relaxing into the mat. I invite you to close your eyes and come back to breathing. Coming back to the theme of your practice. Notice all the points of your body that are touching your floor, your heels, the back of your legs, your lower back and your upper back, shoulders and your hands, and the back of your head. Just enjoying the energy that you've cultivated during your yoga practice. Slowly coming back to your breathing.
And noticing all the contact points that you have with the floor. Envisioning the room that you're in without opening your eyes. Feeling the floor, knowing where the walls and the windows are. Noticing sounds in the distance. And then noticing the sounds within the room you're in. When you're ready, slowly stretching out your fingers and toes. And rolling to one side. As you relax on one side, I have a yoga quote for you about radiance. When you understand who and what you are, your radiance projects into the universal radiance, and everything around you becomes creative and full of opportunity. So hopefully after your practice today and focusing on radiance, your light will be shining brighter out into the universe. When you're ready, come to a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Bringing your hands to our forehead for kind thoughts, to our lips for kind words, and to our heart for kind heart. Stay. Thank you all for being here, for your beautiful contribution to our yoga practice. How's everybody
Thank
feeling?
you. It was lovely.
That's good. You just managed to stay warm.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep, those sun salutations. I whipped off the jumper.